In the mid-20th century, the British government planted heavy tracts of timber across the country. Farley Wood is one of these standard managed plantations. Sitting in a small clearing near the walking paths is the Farley Moor Standing Stone, a 2-meter gritstone pillar passed by hikers for decades. In 2003, a field archaeologist visited the site, noted heavy wear on the top of the rock, and officially logged it as likely prehistoric. He also wrote that only excavation would confirm its significance. No excavation was ordered, and the note sat completely unread in a database for 20 years. The landscape of Britain is dense with ancient monoliths. With finite resources available, unproven anomalies are catalogued, filed away, and easily ignored. George Bird, a 24-year-old student, made an annoying habit of routing his weekend hikes 8 kilometers out of the way to visit that specific pillar. He kept looking at the ground surrounding the rock. He documented a series of subtle, evenly spaced ridges in the leaf litter that looked far too regular to be tree roots. He possessed no research budget and no ground-penetrating radar. He measured the anomalies by hand and recorded his findings in a notebook. He then mailed those field notes directly to Forestry England, the government agency responsible for managing the timber. Against the usual odds of a massive bureaucracy, the agency actually listened to a young amateur's hunch and dispatched a survey team. The joint archaeological team arrived with magnetometry arrays, sweeping non-invasive radar directly over the dense, leafy forest floor. This map plots the results of that survey. By filtering out natural geology, the radar isolated the standing stone and detected 5 distinct, evenly spaced electromagnetic signatures radiating outward. The buried shapes mapped out a deliberate architectural footprint, a 25 by 23 meter oval rink. Right beside the main pillar, the equipment also identified the straight, regular lines of a low-level stone platform. The solitary rock was the anchor point of a vast communal staging ground, sitting completely invisible directly under the modern walking paths. To verify the radar, archaeologists cut 3 hand-dug trenches deep into the root-choked soil to physically expose the platform's surface. They extracted charcoal from the platform's structural makeup and pulled a precise radiocarbon date, 1700 BCE. This places the site's construction in the exact same Bronze Age era as the massive megalithic complexes of Salisbury Plain. The excavation answered exactly why the builders chose this specific location. The main gridstone pillar sat directly above an active natural spring. Cold, pristine, and clean groundwater continuously pushed up through the deep bedrock to surface right beside the central monument. Prehistoric rituals strictly linked groundwater to the divine. Springs served as physical thresholds connecting the surface world to the deep interior of the earth. Soil micromorphology from the adjacent platform proved it was repeatedly swept clean, indicating centuries of continuous active use. The Bronze Age architects identified an active geological feature and built a heavy, permanent communal structure to capture its flow. The discovery at Farley Moor brings the total count of documented stone circles in the Peak District to 25. This cross-section illustrates the threat. On the left, typical agricultural land, where heavy steel plows easily catch and destroy shallow stone architecture. But on the right, a managed forest. Thick root systems weave around the heavy stones, locking them securely beneath decaying leaves. By planting timber directly over open moorland, the government completely hid these structures from sight, shielding them from modern farming machinery and urban development. The commercial tree plantations of 20th century Britain operate as massive, accidental preservation vaults for early human history. Professional archaeologists now estimate these managed woodlands harbor an enormous volume of completely unmapped, intact structures. Yet accessing this archive required a single amateur deciding that a rock in his local woods warranted a closer look, which leaves an obvious question for anyone navigating a local trail this weekend. There are thousands of square miles of managed canopy in the UK alone, sitting quietly on top of our oldest communal spaces. The past is rarely erased. It usually just waits immediately under the surface for someone willing to document the anomalies.